It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the stream. Brack, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, and we're live right now. We're live. Why? Because Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen was due a massive extension, and that's exactly what's being reported right now. Multiple sources reporting, Alex, that Josh Allen is going to make $258 million on a 6-year deal with $150 million guaranteed. I believe, as the kids call it, he secured the bag.
He secured the bag, yeah.
Because
there's money. There's money in the bag.
There's a lot of money in that bag.
A lot of money in the bag. Got it.
No doubt about it. But how does that impact the Arizona Cardinals and their quarterback, Kyler Murray, who after this season will be eligible for a contract extension? And you have to imagine he's just seeing dollar signs in his future at this point.
Yeah. Bo, let me ask you. Josh Allen has been great. He was bad his rookie year. He didn't make the all-conference team at Wyoming in the Mountain West Conference his last year in college, and he was drafted top 10 by the Buffalo Bills, trading up, looking like geniuses, taking Tampa Bay's spot that year, I believe. He was a turnover machine. What did we do here? And then Brian Daboll happened, and an offseason happened. He grew up, and he realized, like,
Stephon Diggs happened as well.
Well, sure, but he took leaps. Like, he beat Dallas in Dallas on Thanksgiving the year before. Like, he had some signature wins. He played New England tough. Like, this wasn't a Tyrod Taylor-led team anymore. This was Josh Allen. And he realized in his second year and into his third how much he's capable of. Not just his arm, not just his legs, but a perfect mixture of the two. And we compared him to Kyler Murray in the respect that neither of them are really the body type for a quarterback. Like, Josh Allen's big and buxom and everything, but he's fleet of foot. It's a weird mix, and Kyler's obviously smaller, but good for Josh Allen. Let me ask you though. Josh Allen's he's won a lot of games. Does Kyler Murray deserve to make more than Josh Allen when his contract is up? Obviously pending this season. But do you think he deserves it just because he's next? Well, Lamar Jackson will probably be next. But
yeah, and I think that they're going to continue to set the bar, as you're going to have probably Baker Mayfield, the first quarterback taken in that draft. So it was Baker, it was Sam Darnold, it was Josh Allen, it was the man we will not mention his name on the Locked On Cardinals podcast, the guy that said there was 9 mistakes made ahead of him. And 3 of them were quarterbacks, Josh Rosen, and then Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson probably gets his deal. I don't know. Are the Ravens going to be smart, or do they sign Jackson to his deal before Baker Mayfield? Like, do you save a little? Do you kind of pinch the pennies a little bit, or are you just like, okay, we're going to pay him? And I think that's what the Arizona Cardinals are going to have to deal with. When we talked to Ian Rappaport earlier this week, we were kind of ahead of the curve. We were like, okay, what's the latest on the Kyler Murray extension? He's like, If Kyler Murray signs a lucrative deal with the Arizona Cardinals, that's good for the Cardinals. That's great for Kyler Murray. And, there are lots of moving parts to this, because I think if Kyler Murray signs a deal like Josh Allen's, and I think it's going to be more lucrative because of it's going to be a little bit later. The salary cap's going to be a little bit higher. And it's more of it's not like the dollars overall. Like, that's not what this is about. This is how the percentage of the salary cap that it's going to absorb. Kyler Murray is going to probably absorb the same amount of salary cap as Josh Allen, and he's going to make over $40 million. And I think, with that being said, you don't have to think about him playing baseball for a long time. That's a lot of money. And we know that, minor league baseball players, even with big time bonuses, it's infamous for not being lucrative at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things to unpack there. One, Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles started this. Carson Wentz was, I believe, the first one, at least in recent memory, that got a contract extension before his rookie contract was up. And what they wanted to do was, obviously, as you mentioned, get in before the inflation of the quarterback contract would come into play. I wonder if that's going to be a thing now, if that's just going to be it. And I wonder if the NFL is going to try and get ahead of it and shorten rookie contracts for quarterbacks in the first round. Because we're far removed now from Kirk Cousins getting franchise tagged twice. And I know he was a 4th round pick, but that's how it used to happen. You used to go to the end of the contract, then you'd get another one. And now GMs and owners are getting smart, saying, listen, we can save money in the long run if we just pay him now. Lamar Jackson is going to be very interesting. And that's more going to be the baseline, and not comparing Lamar to Kyler Murray by any stretch, because we've foundationalized the fact that we don't do that here. But that's going to be the interesting one, because they've won some games, but he has limitations. Are you going to give him all the money in the world and, hamstring the rest of your organization and put it in the hands of a guy who isn't a traditional passer? That's going to be the interesting one. Josh Allen deserves it all. They were Super Bowl favorites at one point last year with Patrick Mahomes being hobbled, in some circles. So we are not talking about the same atmosphere with Kyler Murray and Josh Allen directly. We just can't. It doesn't matter who's up next.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen did a great job in his 3rd season, and obviously he went in with the mindset of, look, I've got to establish myself if I really want to be this elite quarterback, which he's ascended to. And he showed, he took this unbelievably projectable skill set, raw skill set. You called him, Patrick Mahomes when you're not coloring within the lines. He's a little bit more raw than Patrick Mahomes, but there's Patrick Mahomes, there's Josh Allen, those throwing arms, and then there's everybody else. And then he's got the athleticism that he could really, really hang his hat on for a while before he kind of figured out the passing game side of things as an NFL quarterback. But yeah, he was able to put it all together in a year 3, and he really did force the hand of the Buffalo Bills. Kyler Murray can absolutely do that this season for himself. Now, so far, the last 3 seasons, even dating back to his year at Oklahoma where he won the Heisman Trophy, he's the successor to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield wins the Heisman. He becomes the number 1 overall pick. Kyler Murray did exactly that. It was the status quo for Oklahoma quarterbacks, which is tough to keep up with. But he did it. He answered that call. He becomes the number 1 pick. He answers the bell. He's the offensive rookie of the year. 20 touchdowns passing. I think he had 4 on the ground, 24 total touchdowns. And then this past season, he continues to rise. He 37 total touchdowns, over 4,600 total yards. He took a jump as far as in the win category, the statistic that means the most, the one that you're putting out that Josh Allen has the edge on Kyler Murray. And so Kyler Murray, this is the opportunity. And so far, what I've seen from K1 is he's answered it, the bell every time. It's like, these are the expectations, and he hits those. Otherwise, then you're in a tough spot. Then you're going, okay, we're going to play this out. We're going to wait. We're going to let this extension and these talks, these negotiations linger. And then you get yourself into a position like Dak was in, where he was franchise tagged twice. Kirk Cousins was franchise tagged twice. And it's not a good place to be. Nobody feels good about it. Turn your mic on.
Sorry. I think the only one of the handful of quarterbacks that we're talking about that started week 1 of their rookie year was Kyler. I know that Tyrod got hurt. Well, I think it was week 1, but Kyler was this starter right when he got drafted. There was no question about it. There were question marks surrounding other guys. Like Josh Allen was a project, and Sam Darnold was going to be the guy, but he may not have been there just yet. Baker Mayfield, same thing. Patrick Mahomes sat for a whole damn year. Kyler's had more pressure on him to perform immediately, right, but he also had nowhere to fall. They couldn't have gotten any worse than where they were in 2018. So we had that. He's like, it's going to be better no matter what. We don't know what's going to happen with the win column, but it's going to be better no matter what. And we saw that during the second half and overtime of week 1 against Detroit in his first game. The kid's special. He just needs to, as you mentioned, go on the organic route of improving every year. People are expecting things to happen overnight, and you can easily point, well, he's small. Obviously, it's not going to happen. What happens in year 3 will tell the tale for his time with the Arizona Cardinals. We expect, because he's an elite athlete, to take a step forward. You expect that's going to happen, barring any sort of injury. He's not going to regress. That would have happened last year. And sure, he wasn't great from week 1 to week 17, But we saw enough to where it was like, this dude can ball. And he's going to ball again, and then he's going to secure the bag, as the kids say, and whether it be before his fourth season or after it.
But it's interesting though, because it's Josh Allen had really only one direction to go, especially as a passer. He could only get better. I mean, when you look at his numbers, I tweeted this out. The first 2 seasons for these two quarterbacks, Josh Allen was pretty pedestrian. 5,100 yards, 56% completion percentage, 30 touchdowns, 21 picks. Of course, he had to really rely on his athleticism, his ability to run the football. He had more total touchdowns than Kyler, 17. Kyler, 7,600, almost 7,700 passing yards. He completed higher percentage of his passes, a lot more TDs. Played in a couple more games than Josh Allen. But it's really going to be tough for Kyler Murray. Like, really the only place he can improve his stats, but only a little bit more, I would assume, right? I mean, I know you get the extra game. I think you can project him out for even more so, passing touchdowns than he had last year through 16 games. I think he's going to tap into that. But really what's going to keep him in this rare air, and the Arizona Cardinals having no problem paying him the amount of money that they're going to pay him, is the stat that really means anything, and that's wins.
Right. And that's the big thing that he needs to improve on. Like, the Hail Murray was incredible. It's going to be an all-time great play. We haven't seen a whole lot from him in the clutch where they need a touchdown. And sometimes it's because, they're winning games towards the tail end. And like, we've seen some
with it. I kind of disagree. Like, we forget about the game against San Francisco in his rookie year where he had the go-ahead touchdown, and then Vance Joseph's defense completely just folded, and they ended up losing that game that they were ahead with.
You can say that about any quarterback. Yeah. It's a matter at the end of the game. Like, you can't, if Kyler's going to be your player and he's going to make $200 million, upwards of, it's got to translate to it.
The number was 258. That's what came out today for Josh Allen.
But the 150 is the number we're looking at. Who knows what it's going to be? If it's going to be 180 in 2 years, we have no idea how much the guarantee is going to be. Like, that's not fair for me to say that about Kyler. But like, if you're asking people, your top 5 quarterbacks that you want with the ball in your hand, down 1 score to run the 2-minute drill, Kyler's not in it. He's just not. And he hasn't had the opportunities. He hasn't been in the league long enough. But I wouldn't put him in it. I wouldn't put Lamar Jackson in it. But I would put Josh Allen in it.
Josh Allen has been known to be clutch even before he had 5-game winning drives in his second season. Kyler Murray, I think you're sleeping on that because he had a big drive to force overtime against the Seattle Seahawks. They ended up winning that game. I think if the Arizona Cardinals' fortunes changed a little bit, he had 4-game winning drives last year. It was 1 less than Allen had in his second season. I think that he's a little bit more clutch, and the Cardinals had a couple games that they let go, and it wasn't Kyler Murray's fault. It's like Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald leaving the field up in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And then, allegedly Santonio Holmes toe tapped his feet in the end zone.
I mean, Zay Gonzalez didn't help. Like, I know that there were some times where, so there were 2, like the Miami game, they probably should have won. And then the one, I can't remember what game was it the Miami game where he missed the 50-yarder, but short, or 45-yarder, but short?
49-yarder. Yeah.
But short, right? Just short. Dead money short. Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah, short.
An NFL kicker was short on a 49-yard field goal. Unbelievable. That's why when I see Matt Prater, the reports out of camp from Jess Root that he's nailing 60 to 66, it gets me giddy inside. I should never be that giddy for kicker stats from training camp. But I mean, we're talking the Kyler Murray. I mean, what? All right, let's look at a couple different scenarios real quick. And we've got our show with Cam Cox that's going to premiere on YouTube in an hour. One scenario where Kyler Murray isn't extended by this time next year.
Barring any sort of knock on wood terrible injury, I don't. If they win 5 games this year, that would probably do it. He's still under contract for another season.
Yeah. I mean, if the struggles linger from the end of last year, and I think that you can point to when he injured his shoulder, that had a big part of it, and the defense is adjusting to him. But I mean, the scenario where that scenario obviously is doomsday for the Arizona Cardinals, and it makes the water very murky. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury would for sure be gone.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that's going to usher Kyler Murray back onto that trajectory that we've seen so far through 2 seasons? That's the nightmare scenario. And I think not a lot of people are thinking that that's going to happen because he just has his pure passing ability. It's in a better spot than Josh Allen was at this point in his career.
It's a beautiful thing to see. It really is. And I'm so excited to see that a week from today. But the 5-win thing comes with the asterisk. Obviously injuries can derail all sorts of storylines, and not just with him. If there's a defensive injury, something Kyler Murray has to do is step up. If the defense starts to falter, the offense is supposed to be the strength of this team, in my opinion. Otherwise, why is Cliff Kingsbury here? Trademark Alex Clancy. When you have things you're going to know by the end of this season if they should extend him or not. I feel like it's going to be very clear if you want to jump the gun 365 days early. Again, you don't have to. And on top of that, it's not making them look like they dislike Kyler Murray by not doing it. This is a new phenomenon. If you know he's your guy, and if he's won a bunch of games in the playoffs like Patrick Mahomes did with the Super Bowl, or Josh Allen is obvious the guy, he's Buffalo football. He is. He's going to supplant Jim Kelly as the number one most important quarterback in Buffalo Bills history if they win a Super Bowl. And that's a trajectory that he's on. He's already there. He's Brett Favre in Green Bay. It's already happened. It's a wrap, so you can do it early. Lamar Jackson, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is in that Lamar Jackson camp where we still have to see it. We've got to see it first before you can give him the money.
Yeah.
Right? That's not an overstatement.
No, and obviously the Arizona Cardinals are utilizing Kyler Murray, his rookie scale contract. They're still using that in order to bring in talent into the building that they didn't have because they weren't successful drafting. They had to pay the premium in free agent dollars and extensions to guys like DeAndre Hopkins and of course, J.J. Watt in order to just get talent in the building to surround Kyler Murray. Now, I don't know what their plan is, to when they feel like where that nest egg is for a guy like Kyler Murray. Is it next season? Josh Allen's money is going to kick in 2022. Kyler Murray, if he signs it next season, does it kick in 2023? And are they going to be in a position to do so? It's going to be big, not only for Kyler Murray this season to prove that he can play at this level, at a high level. It's going to be Isaiah Simmons. It's going to be Zaven Collins. And it's going to be Rondale Moore, those young guys in that locker room that they don't necessarily have to pay a premium for right now because they hit on draft picks.
Yeah, no, it's true. All of the people that are getting paid now have already done it, and Kyler Murray hasn't done it yet. That's it, because he hasn't had the opportunity to, and this is the year. This legitimately is the Baker Mayfield from last year. They were talking about sitting Baker Mayfield at one point. The dude just doesn't have it, and then they revamped the offensive line. The Cardinals did that in some capacity, bringing in Rodney Hudson and re-signing Kelvin Beachum. It's the best offensive line Kyler Murray is going to have that he's had so far. They have DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Rondale Moore. Again, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that would take the Cardinals receiver room. Yeah. And Kyler has that. So the question, Bees, is I don't think – so the difference in this is the 2022 salary cap is going to explode. So there's going to be a lot more money to go around. So it may just work out to pay him in 2022 because that's the right business move, and you have the room with that salary cap to pay him then and not move it down the road.
But he's eligible once the final whistle blows on the 2021 season. That's when he can sign a new extension.
Yeah.
You can't negotiate now. So that we're not going to see an extension before then.
No, I know. You're right. But I'm saying it's not like you can have it hit in 2022 and have some money there. Yeah. I'm saying you can front load it a little bit more because you're going to have more wiggle room than this severely decreased salary cap for this season because of COVID.
Oh, God. Look at, it's projected to go up to about 208, just under 209 as far as the salary cap. And that's a huge jump between where we were this past offseason and next offseason. It's just going to go up and up and up and up. And like we said earlier on this, I don't know if everybody was joined us then, but it's going to be a percentage of what Kyler Murray is going to take up with that salary cap. That's going to be the key here. as far as the Arizona Cardinals and how much they're going to pay their franchise quarterback. But as we said, check out Ian Rappaport's interview with us earlier this week. It was Tuesday's episode. It was fantastic. He talked about the Kyler Murray extension that is good for both parties. And you just look for that, for the Arizona Cardinals, keep them happy. And hopefully, with him throwing seam routes to Rondale Moore, something we haven't seen, we just see a bump in those numbers. He earns it. And we see an uptick in the wins. That'd be huge for the Arizona Cardinals. We appreciate everybody tuning in to this little impromptu Locked On Cardinals. It'll live on our YouTube page if you want to rewatch the full episode. And then in less than an hour now, Cam Cox is going to join Alex Clancy and I. We recorded the episode earlier this morning where we were talking to Cam Cox about Rondale Moore, why he's different than the other second-round picks that the Arizona Cardinals have had at the wide receiver position. Plus, the Cardinals continue to say all the right things as far as the big elephant in the room, why they fell short of making the playoffs last year. We had a good conversation on that. Check it out on this YouTube channel. Of course, subscribe, like this video, and follow us on Twitter at LockedOnAZCards, at BLBRCK, and at Clancy's Corner. And, I completely agree with Bees. Where's this? Where's my contract extension? Let's go. Pay me. Pay me. When's that coming, Alex? That's going to do it for us. Anything else on this?
No, I mean, it's football's back, baby. I smiled when somebody else got paid. It's awesome.
Right. All right. Well, check out our next episode. It's coming up in less than an hour. It's Locked On Cardinals.